Hey, what's up? It's Dr. Monahan, and this is a quick video on how to 3D print models with our 3D printer. I'm going to show you some of the parts on the 3D printer so you're familiar with that. This is the actual print platform. This knob here, you can just loosen it and you can remove this whole print platform. This is where the models will be printed. And then this is the vat where we pour in the liquid resin. So in there right now, I have this standard resin. That's what we're going to print models with. And it's important that this gets mixed prior to putting it in the vat. So if this has been sitting in the vat for several days, then it needs to be poured out into, using a funnel into the bottle so that it can be like shaken up first and poured back in so that it's all mixed up. If it's not mixed up properly, then what happens is that it won't cure as it goes and the model will fail on printing. So another thing to mention about this is sometimes little bits of plastic from a model could fall into the vat. And if that happens, every time you go to 3D print, it would fail because that little piece of plastic gets in the way of the movement of this print platform. So before you start any print, you want to make sure the vat was clean before you pour the resin in. So we have nice mixed resin inside. We are going to tighten our print platform on. And now that we have that all assembled, we're going to put the lid on the machine. Okay, so we've got our lid on the machine, and just as a side note, it will not print if the lid's not on. I'm going to turn the machine on here on the side, and then on the screen, it's going to light up, and I'm going to have the option to select what I want to do. So we're going to go ahead and select the print option, and I'm going to use the arrows to go ahead and navigate all the way to the model that I want to select here for today's prints. So I found the models I want to do, and then as I press the play button, it's going to start the process. And then I want to make sure that this is set to the proper UV power settings. And I'm going to press this little gear button to go to the settings and go down to where it says UV power. I'm going to select UV power and I'm going to set that to 85 and enter. And once I've set it to 85, it'll stay on 85, but I was printing something else prior to this. So I want to make sure it's on 85 when I use the standard resin. Okay, and now it's going to start printing. The printing of these models is finished, so you can see that the models are on that platform. So what we're going to do is with clean hands, not with dirty gloves at all, because we don't want to get resin on the outside of this. We're going to remove the lid, and then I'll show you how to remove the models from the printer. Okay, awesome. I'm going to show you how to remove the models from the printer. So I've gone ahead and taken the lid off of the printer. And then next I'm going to go ahead and glove up. It's also pretty smart to wear glasses to protect your eyes and also a mask if you'd like. The reason is that this is resin and it's uncured, a lot of this, so it has a smell to it and it can irritate your lungs, or if it gets in your eyes, that'd be bad. So what you want to do first is I go ahead and loosen the knob so that I can remove the print platform. And if you can see, there's gray resin that has settled on top of this print platform. So I like to go ahead and just gently run this along, and that's going to allow that resin to just drip kind of under and back into the vat, okay? And then I'm going to pull this around and sweep this back into the vat. And then I'm going to angle this. You can see there's all this resin that's dripping now. I'm going to try to hold it in such a way that we're going to drip all that excess resin back into the vat. It just helps us to eliminate waste. Okay, so we're going to just sweep this all back into the vat. I'm being very careful not to get resin outside of the vat. If you drip resin on the printer, then you want to wipe that off right away, because we don't want resin dripping inside the printer and ruining the electronics, okay? So I've pre-prepared some paper towels here. So you can see that I have the models on the platform, and I've got some paper towels that are going to catch any of this extra resin. I'm going to place this on the table here, and I'm going to get my spatula just underneath the model, and then I'm going to just kind of shimmy and push until this kind of breaks free or lifts off the platform. And I am careful not to actually torque it off, because then you could actually break the model if you're pushing too hard. So here's the method here. You just kind of work this spatula underneath, and then you saw that it just broke free. And I'm gonna flip this around because the model is actually stronger if you're pushing this direction instead of from the back where you could break off one of these sides. So I'm gonna turn this around, so I'm pressing from the front again. I feel it underneath there, and I just keep kind of shimmying and pressing forward. And it's starting to break free. Here we go. There we go. Okay. So I've broken both the models free, and I just want to make sure there's no like cured plastic on here. It looks pretty clean. So we're good to go. I can wipe that off just to make sure, and that's clean. So I'm gonna place this back into the printer. My right hand does not have any resin on it, so I'm gonna use my right hand to go ahead and tighten that back into place. I'm gonna go ahead and place the lid back on the printer. I wanna make sure I don't have resin on my hands when I touch the lid to the printer. I'm gonna just use palms here and not touch any resin onto that lid. Okay, and that just helps the resin so it doesn't cure prematurely or anything. Okay, so next I'm gonna show you how to process the models now that they've been printed. Okay, so the next step with all this is we're going to wash the excess resin off of our models, and then we're going to cure the models. So this is the wash and cure station. Right now it's set up as a curing station, but we're gonna just flip it really quick so that it can wash the models. So with clean gloves, I don't wanna get any resin on this lid. So we're gonna remove the lid, just set that aside. And now what we're gonna do, this is the curing light portion. So we're gonna just bend this portion up so it's out of the way. And then there's a turntable here that we're gonna remove. So this just lifts straight up, and we'll set that aside. And then there's also this reflective piece here that we can also just remove and set aside. So now you can see we have like an open platform here, and that is where this container with ethyl alcohol is gonna go. So we're gonna just open this up, and we're gonna place our models inside the vat of alcohol. And just be careful not to splash it in your face when you drop these in, because you don't want alcohol in your eyes or in your face. And you're gonna place the lid back on. And I'm trying not to get resin on this thing too, because it will make the plastic all sticky. The power button is on the back right-hand side, and it's currently in wash mode. You see the little red light next to the wash. So I'm gonna set my time, and generally speaking, this is a little glitchy. We wanna just wash for like 2 to 4 minutes. If there's a lot of models, you can go 4. If it's just a couple, we can go 2. So I'm gonna just stop the video and I'll show you the next step. So the wash cycle is complete, so I'm gonna remove the lid. And then inside this vat, there's basically what looks like a deep fryer basket in here. So you can see the models are in this thing. I'm just gonna kind of shake some of the excess alcohol back into the vat, because I don't wanna drip it everywhere. And in fact, I'm not even really gonna take this whole thing out. I'm just gonna reach in and grab my models. And then I have a fresh paper towel sitting here. I'm just going to wanna dry these, shake off the excess alcohol off of them, and just lay them here to dry. While those are drying, I'm gonna set this back up to do the cure, okay? So I'm gonna place the lid on here so my alcohol doesn't evaporate. We're gonna place our reflective sheet back on. We're gonna place this turntable back on. Now this turntable has like a little indentations that it has to fit into, so just make sure it's not wobbly. And then we're gonna use this top section here to bend down so it angles down to shine light on the tops of the models. And now that's all set up. I'm gonna continue to let these models dry. You don't wanna set these on the turntable while they still have like that wet alcohol mixture on there. So I'm gonna let them completely dry, or use compressed air to dry them before we set them on the turntable. Okay, so my models are dry, so I'm just gonna set them on the turntable, and we're gonna place our lid on the machine. And then this next step is actually kind of important. Sometimes you forget. If you don't turn it to the cure cycle, you leave it on the wash, it's actually gonna spin that turntable around really fast, and it's gonna probably fling the models, okay? So we wanna make sure to click that button to set it to the curing mode. And then these are gonna generally cure from anywhere from 4 to 8 minutes. So let's just get it set up here. Again, this button sometimes is glitchy. We'll just press start, and now it's gonna start curing. So the cure is complete. So at this point, we just have clean hands. There's no need to have gloves at this stage. because now that the resin is completely cured, we're able to handle these. So this is our completed 3D printed model. You can see on this model, there are some supports that kind of stretch upward toward the gums here. So those can be just like kind of broken off. Sometimes you can even just reach in there and kind of peel them off with your fingers or with a spatula or something like that, or a lab knife. And it's good just to remove those or break them off so that if you're making your appliance, if you're making a retainer or something, it's not getting in your way. And now this model is ready for making retainers.